Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on weather across Jamaica and the Caribbean. It is Thursday evening, April 6, 2023. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap notification bell so that you will be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what weather has been like in your area recently. Also, feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. I respond to all comments and I really live for this stuff. Alright, so taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see that we have that trough across portion of the central Atlantic that's bringing a lot of rainfall right there across portion of northeastern Caribbean. And we can also see that we still have that high pressure ridge across the Atlantic that's sending a lot of easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. Taking a look at the visible satellite images before the sun went down, we can see those low-level patches of clouds moving from east to west across the main development region into the western Caribbean, and we can see a lot of clouds right there across portions of the northeastern Caribbean. That's bringing some amount of overcast skies and showers associated with that trough, not to mention lots of flashes of lightning that are indicated by those sparkling white dots. So we are having a lot of thunderstorms in those areas as well. We'll be talking more about the weather across the Caribbean later on. Let's focus our attention on the prediction that was made for today's weather in yesterday's video. It was stated that we would have received some amount of rainfall across sections of northern and eastern Jamaica in the morning hours. And northern and eastern Jamaica, we know that those refer to the parishes of Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. Eastern Jamaica, of course, Portland, St. Andrew, Kingston, St. Thomas. And what ended up happening? At 6:10 a.m., a post was made highlighting the Doppler radar images showing some greens and yellows that represent moderate to strong rainfall across portions of St. Mary, St. Anne, and Portland, maybe even spilling into sections of St. Thomas as well. So that prediction panned out. What about the other part of the prediction? It was stated that we would have received some rainfall in the afternoon hours affecting sections of western Jamaica. Western Jamaica include parishes of Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. And what ended up happening? A post was made at 3:11 p.m. on our Twitter page highlighting some amount of clouds bringing overcast skies and isolated showers to sections of Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, maybe even the southern coastal areas of Manchester as well. We even got some rainfall and overcast skies across the southern coastal areas of Clarendon and southwestern St. Catherine as well. And we also see on the Doppler radar images all of that rainfall of the coast of Westmoreland at this time that's pushing its way off towards the southwest. So we indeed had the confirmation that the clouds were showing that we indeed had some amount of rainfall, not to mention the fact that the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology's accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours confirms the rainfall across northern Jamaica and eastern Jamaica in the morning, not to mention western Jamaica in the afternoon hours, as well as the southern coastal areas as well. Taking a look at the temperatures for tonight, we can see that we have 25 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 25 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and as usual, as the night progresses, these temperatures should be getting lower. Taking a look at the temperatures for tomorrow, we can see that by 18th on Friday, both the Euro and the GFS models are showing that by 1 p.m., we should be embedded in a lot of shades of blues, light, even darker than light blue, even some darker blue colors in there, indicative of at least 3 degrees Celsius below average temperatures by both the Euro and the GFS models. I will know that when we have consensus on both models like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. But what are the average temperatures for the month of April? About 88 degrees Fahrenheit. Taking a look at the thermometer, 88 degrees Fahrenheit is about the equivalent of about 31 degrees Celsius. And if we're going to be receiving 3 degrees Celsius below average temperatures for tomorrow, we should be getting anywhere from, let's say, 28, 29, 30 degrees Celsius for Friday. Taking a look at the dry air map, we can see that Jamaica is still embedded in some oranges and reds that are indicative of some amount of dry air across the area. Taking a look at the Saharan dust map, however, by 2 p.m. on Friday, we still see the majority of the dust and the haze associated with the dust from the Sahara Desert. It's right there across the main development region, the Eastern Caribbean and the Southern Caribbean. Jamaica is still in the clear, but it should be making its way towards Jamaica by the weekend. But it won't be as robust as it is right now. By the time it gets to Jamaica, it should be dissipating at that time. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, Jamaica is still surrounded by a lot of blues, and we know that the blues on the key represent at least 1.5 meter wave height or less. And that's due to the fact that tomorrow we will be receiving some amount of wind, but it won't be as drastic. Look at eastern Jamaica. We don't have much wind coming into eastern Jamaica, and that spells bad news. When we have a lot of the winds elsewhere and not really coming into the island like that, we have more air piling up, more convergence, more building up of clouds. So we might have a lot of rainfall right there across portions of eastern Jamaica for tomorrow. Most of the winds coming in from the east to about 10 to 15 or 10 to 20 knots seem to be right there across the northern coastal or the southern coastal areas, not really the eastern side of the island. And we see both the Euro and the GFS showing something similar. Not to mention the fact that we see some of the darker shades of blue right there across portions of southern Jamaica on both maps. And we know that for the afternoon hours we might have a buildup of clouds and afternoon convection across those very spots. So if there's some amount of afternoon convection taking place, it might be across sections of southern Jamaica. So maybe Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland might be getting in on some of that as well. Not to mention the fact that the wind shear is still coming in from the northwest. So any amount of buildup of clouds in the afternoon hours and the fact that they could become thunderclouds or cumulonimbus clouds, most of that, when they rise up all the way up into the upper levels of the atmosphere, the wind shear coming in from the northwest should be blowing all of that off towards the southeast, which would cause some of that rainfall to linger across the southern parishes as well. You might even get some flashes of lightning and thunder across those spots as well. Taking a look at the rain forecast for tomorrow, we can see that by as early as 4 a.m. on Friday, we're having some rainfall right there across portion of northern and the eastern parishes in Jamaica, and both the Euro and GFS models are showing something similar. Skipping ahead to about 8 a.m. on Friday, we still have much of the same, a lot of blues that represent rainfall across northern and eastern Jamaica. Skipping ahead to about 1 p.m. on Friday now, which is 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. Jamaica time, we can see that all the blues have made their way off to the central and western parishes, even some eastern parishes still getting in on some of that. Look at Kingston, some darker blue, St. Catherine, maybe even Portmore getting in on some of that. And we see that on both models right there. So the chances are quite high for the amount of rainfall to be received across Jamaica for Friday. Skipping ahead to about even 3 p.m. we see that we still have much of the same thing. So we just showed 1 p.m. Now we're looking at 3 p.m. We still see that rainfall across sections of central and western Jamaica, with more of the bias of the rainfall across southern Jamaica where we have those darker blues. So we indeed have some rainfall to receive for tomorrow. Taking a look at the accumulated precipitation forecast, we see that both maps are showing majority of the rainfall across eastern Jamaica, maybe even up to 0.61 of an inch of rainfall across eastern Jamaica right there on the GFS. You are showing something similar but not as much rainfall. Either way, it makes sense that we're seeing the accumulated or the most rainfall across eastern Jamaica, considering that we'll be getting rainfall as early as 3 a.m. up to, let's say, midday on Friday. And then, as usual, the rainfall will be expected across sections of central and western Jamaica, with the bias across southern Jamaica. So we indeed have some rainfall to receive for tomorrow. So please ensure that you bring your umbrella, your rain gear, raincoat, whatever the case may be, so that you're not that drastically affected. And we are indeed grateful for the rainfall that we're going to be receiving for tomorrow, especially considering that we're still in the dry season. April is still one of the driest months of the year. Even although we receive up to 114 millimeters of rainfall, we'll take what we can get for this month. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let's focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So, just as stated, we have a lot of clouds associated with that trough across sections of northeastern Caribbean, not to mention sections of the southern and eastern United States. We still have the trough bringing some overcast skies and showers and thunderstorms to those spots as well. We can also see that we have some clouds bringing overcast skies to sections of Costa Rica, portions of Colombia, and portions of northwestern Venezuela, just as stated in yesterday's video. Taking a look at the infrared satellite images, we can see a lot of sparkling white dots right there across portions of northeastern Caribbean. So, islands such as maybe Guadeloupe, sections of Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua, Barbuda, Anguilla, St. Martin, portions of the US and British Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, the eastern half of the Dominican Republic, not to mention portions of Haiti. We can even see some sparkling white dots in Haiti as well. So we indeed are getting some amount of rainfall across portions of the northeastern Caribbean right there. Taking a look at the Doppler radar images as well to confirm this rainfall, we can see that as early as 1:30 p.m. today, we've been having a lot of rainfall. Look at all that rainfall surrounding Puerto Rico. We can see those greens that represent moderate rainfall and the yellows and the reds within those greens that represent some strong and heavy rainfall as well. The US and British Virgin Islands getting the brunt of that, western Puerto Rico getting some of that rainfall as well. Taking a look at the Barbados radar, we can see that we have some passing showers to the north and south of the island of Barbados, but we can see that to the areas to the west of there, so sections of St. Vincent and St. Lucia might have been getting in on some amount of rainfall for today, even into the recording hour. Taking a look at the wider view of Doppler radar images, we can see that for the most part, majority of the activity is right there across the northeastern Caribbean. Don't have much to see across portion of the area right there across Cuba. Don't have much to see across Honduras or Belize. We can see some rainfall right there across portions of northern Guatemala, portions of Colombia, not to mention sections of Venezuela. We don't see much happening across the ABC Islands at all. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we can see that majority of the Caribbean should be receiving some amount of average or below average temperatures for tomorrow. This is 1 p.m. on Friday, and we can see that majority of the above average temperature should be right there across portions of Mexico, the Gulf of Mexico, portions of the Bahamas, sections of Florida, as well as the southern and eastern United States right there. And we have consensus on both models, and we know that when we have consensus or agreement like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Taking a look at the Saharan dust map, we can see that by 2 p.m. on Friday, we have majority of the dust associated with the Sahara Desert across sections of majority of the eastern Caribbean, the southern Caribbean, portion of northern South America, right there. Jamaica is in the clear, and areas to the west of there. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we can see that by 12 p.m. on Friday, the highest waves seem to be right there to the east of the Caribbean. And why is that? Because the strongest winds are right there as well. You can see, as indicated by those yellows, that indicate 25 to 30 knot winds. But the winds will be coming in more from the east or the east southeast across the eastern Caribbean, and we shall expect that the waves across those areas will be high, especially considering those strong winds that they'll be receiving right there. The rest of the Caribbean should be receiving, let's say, 10 to 20 knot winds, which is why the seas will be calm. Taking a look at the rain forecast for tomorrow, we can see that both the Euro and the GFS are still showing a lot of rainfall to be received across sections of Hispaniola, so Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, portion of the same areas that we just mentioned, the US and British Virgin Islands, the northeastern Caribbean, Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Barts, Antigua and Barbuda right there. And we have consensus or agreement on both models. I know that when we have consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Moving southward, we can still see that even up to an inch of rainfall still being predicted across portions of eastern or southeastern Nicaragua, sections of Costa Rica, portions of Panama, section of the northwestern section of Venezuela, Colombia as well. Skipping ahead to the western portion of the basin, we can see that majority of Central America should be in the clear. We just have one or two spotty showers right there across portions of Guatemala, and we have even up to an inch of rainfall to be received across portions of eastern Mexico as well as sections of Texas associated with that cold front that they've been receiving rainfall from for the past day or two. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.